Hey everyone, it's Brian here from Massey's Main Entertainment. We're rolling into another round of our album draft through the decades, where my good friends Sam St. John, aka Americana Sam, and my good buddy Doc, my buddy from the North, are joining me to draft our top 10 albums for each decade. We started back in the 1960s and we're going to work our way through the 2010s. Today, we're going to be driving into the 1980s. It's a decade of synthesizers and hairspray and music videos that probably made less sense than most of the lyrics. We're going to be sticking to our snake draft format, which means tonight I have the first pick. Sam, you get to go second. Doc, he gets that third and fourth pick because of the snake draft. And I'm sure that he's not opposed to that at all. So
not at all.
Not at all. And the 80s had it all, guys. I thought 80s was like that, I hit my teenage years, had that pop perfection. Hair bands and hard rock were becoming kind of dominant. Even had like the keytar came out. Remember that, Doc? I think you remember that a little bit.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So you can ask yourself, am I going to, what am I going to get tonight? Am I going to get the Joshua Tree? Is a Sam going to go for any Springsteen or the Wilburys? And Doc here, maybe he's a Thriller guy and he's just been hiding it from us all these years. I don't know. But one thing for sure, the 80s were really weird. As a time in history where a guy could wear a trench coat with no shirt on underneath. And instead of calling the cops, people just assumed that he was in Duran Duran or something. There's an old thing that says if you only had 37 or less zippers on your jacket, you weren't doing it right. So that probably sums up the 80s pretty well. So now it's your turn. So you as our listeners, drop a comment down below. Tell us your top 10 albums of the 80s and who would you have picked first? And while you're here, don't forget to like the video, sub the channel, and ring that bell if you don't want to miss any episodes. So, all right, guys, do you have anything for me before we get started with this?
I would just say really quickly there from the 70s that we just did going into the 80s.
Yep.
Man, it's pretty drastic on how much it changed.
It was. Yeah.
It's a big leap on how music looks in the 80s compared to what it looked like in the 70s or the 60s for that matter. But 70s and 60s looked kind of, you can see how it morphed into it.
Yeah.
70s, 80s that's a big leap, man.
But it's interesting for me. I mean, just looking at my list, that I think I have 3 of my potential top 10 favorite albums of all time. So, even though the 80s is also known as a weak decade for a lot of people, I have 30% of my top 10 of all time is in the 80s. So, can't really turn your nose up at that.
Not too much. All right. We'll get it started then. I get the first
pick
tonight. And so with the first pick in the first round, gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and take an album that's aged a little bit better than Thriller. And I'm going to take Purple Rain by Prince here at the first overall pick. I think it's solid through and through, no filler. Prince is, a guy who does all of his own music, writes his own lyrics, produces everything, mixes everything. Great album. I think it stands the test of time. So I got Purple Rain. Sam?
Oh, I'm going to go with one of those top 10 favorites, and I'm going to go with Traveling Wilburys Volume 1. I mean, that, again, people that know, that's the album for me that got me into serious music, is that album. So
I had a suspicion. I kind of jotted that down that I thought you would go after that album. So
yeah, I've got to get it first pick.
Yeah, it was excellent. Let's see, with the third pick in the first round and the fourth pick in the second round, Doc, you got back-to-back, buddy. Take your time.
Oh, I'll just, inside you being an a-hole taking Purple Rain out of the first one there, that's okay. But definitely high on my list for the 80s, man. That's a great album. And you're right, I like it more and more as I get older. So I'll go AC/DC's Back in Black, man. Let's just get this one knocked out right away. What a follow-up album, The Highway to Hell, man. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, that's
your singer.
Serious bangers on that album.
Oh, yeah.
And less than a year, right? It was less than a year since Highway to Hell.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah. Was that the first album with the new?
With Brian.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they didn't miss a beat. What about the first pick in the fourth round?
I might put a little strategy into this, the way I do things here. So I'm going to go Full Moon Fever.
Shots fired. Wow. I know I had it on my list really high.
I'm sure we all did, but I got the back-to-back, so I'm going to take advantage of it maybe early. Not later on, but I will now.
That's an excellent pull, man. It's a
Yeah.
great pick. Sam, you got any type of retort for that, buddy, at the 5th pick?
Dog, I'd say just get an extra lock on your door. All right, I'm gonna go with. So that was the other. That was one of the three. So I'll have to go with the other one. That's Graceland, Paul Simon.
Nice. That is a good pick. I remember how huge that music video was with Chevy Chase and Paul Simon. It was absolutely huge.
Call me Al. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. Excellent. Good. He's got Graceland. So now I've got the 6th pick overall in this, and the 6th pick and then 7th pick. So I got back-to-back picks as well. I'm going to take the Joshua Tree with the 6th pick. Again, another album that's all bangers to me. I think the second side has grown on me so much in the last 10 years. I think it's just as viable as the first side. I know the first side has the first 3 songs are all pop.
Icons, monsters.
They're on the radio.
Yeah, they were huge. But I think the deeper tracks on the second side kind of stand a test of time. And with the 7th pick, I think I'm going to take Peter Gabriel's So.
Oh, boy.
That's kind of like his breakout album. He had like those 4 albums where it was just self-titled. It was some very proggy stuff mixed with some synth new wave early on. But then So came out, and then all of a sudden he just got a whole bunch of hit singles off of that when featured the Memphis Horns and everything else on that album. It was really good. So Sam, we're back to you, buddy, with the 8th overall pick. So
all right, well, I've got to throw in my Bob Dylan pick for right now, and that's going to be Infidels from 81?
Yeah, it feels like 81.
So I mean that's my number 2 favorite Dylan album after Blood on the Tracks. So,
wow.
I mean, Joker Man, Sweetheart Like You, Neighborhood Bully, all that stuff.
Man of Peace is on that, right?
Man of Peace.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, Doc, we are back to you. You get the 9th overall pick from the 3rd round, and then the 10th overall pick coming in the 4th round.
So I'm going to take, maybe I'll just do it this way. I'm going to take Southern Accents, guys.
God.
Oof. 2 Petty albums.
Those are my 2 favorite Petty albums, probably. I love the first one, too, so don't get me wrong. I love Petty anyway.
Yeah.
I know Sam does, too, but I'm sorry, man. The guy up here in Canada kind of likes Petty a lot, too. That's all I can tell you. So,
wow.
Get another lock.
Double bolt, man.
Yeah.
So what are you going to take with the 10th pick, then?
I better... Well, I'm taking Moving Pictures from Rush.
Yeah. I thought that would go earlier for you, but I guess
strategy-wise, I thought it was
you kind of figured you could sit on it a little bit, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a great album.
That's fantastic.
Some of the best drumming you're ever going to hear on a rock record. So,
yeah.
Excellent. Back around to you, Sam, with the 11th overall pick, bud.
All right, I'm going to go here. I got to get a Petty album in too, so I'm going to go with Hard Promises.
Yeah.
That's in my top 3 Petty records. I mean, I remember that one, really just knocked my socks off the first time I heard it. I mean, it opens with The Waiting and then A Woman in Love back to back, and Stevie Nicks is on it too with the title track or Insider, excuse me.
It's incredible that Petty has so far 3 in the top 11 picks.
Look at that. Well, what was it of Greed?
Yeah. All right. Last pick in the 4th round, 12th overall for me. I am going to go off the beaten path a little bit, guys. I'm going to take Master of Puppets by Metallica.
Ooh.
Nothing wrong with that, buddy.
My favorite Metallica album, the first heavy metal cassette that I ever owned was Master of Puppets, and I wore that thing down to you couldn't even read the writing on the cassette by time I needed a new cassette. That's how much I played that. So I had to have it. It's just an incredible album. The they had lost Cliff Burton by that point, if my memory serves, right? Cliff Burton had passed, and then they took on Kirk Hammett for that album to play. So, all right. So, with the 13th overall pick, I think I'm going to take Synchronicity by the Police.
That's a good one, buddy.
Yeah, you can't get wrong with any of those Police albums.
No. I mean, that stuff they released even earlier, it had that reggae feel to it. Fantastic albums. Synchronicities like that highlight one. But we're back to Sam with the 14th overall pick.
All right, I'm going to go with my favorite U2 album, which is Rattle and Hum, the follow-up to Joshua Tree. I think, even though there's some, rehashing of some of the Joshua Tree stuff, because, it's half live, but you get stuff like, Desire, Hawk Moon, All I Want Is You. I mean,
yeah.
When Love Comes to Town, good grief, with B.B. King.
Yeah, that's great.
Rocks.
Silver and Gold is on there.
Silver and Gold. Yeah.
Excellent job. All right, Doc, 15th overall pick and 16th overall pick.
Well, first things first, I'd like to tell Sam to maybe get a lock on his door.
Hey, you're still one ahead of me.
That Rattle and Hum album is awesome, buddy. That's a smoking album, man.
I love it.
Yeah. I can switch it up a little bit. I'm going to take Appetite.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Guns N' Roses. That debut album of Guns N' Roses, I don't care what anybody says, man. That's a kick-ass rock album in the 80s, man. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah. That's a deep album. A lot of deep cuts on there.
A lot of great songs on that album, man. It's still, it's be whatever Guns N' Roses is today, man. That album was great. Whatever year it came out in the 80s, man. It was smoking.
What about with your number 16th pick?
Now, that's a little different. I'm going to go... Jeez, that's tough, man. I'm going to go Pyromania there, man, from Def Leppard.
Wow. Doc keeping up with the rockin' albums.
Still rocking a little in the 80s, man.
You like Pyromania a little bit more than Hysteria?
A little bit more, yeah.
I
mean, that first kick in, Rock of Ages and everything else that goes with it. It's the intro to really Def Leppard making a commercial success.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hook guitar rock, man. Yeah, sure, it's glam, but it's polished, man. It's really good.
Excellent. Sam, we're in the 6th round, the 17th overall pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go Oh Mercy, Bob Dylan, which is his end of the 80s record after a few missteps for a lot of people.
Good thing you took that, buddy, because it's sitting on my list if you didn't grab it this time.
Daniel Lanois. I mean, he was a busy man in the 80s, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been great. All right. So the second Bob album has been taken. All right. I got the 18th and 19th overall pick. I'm going to take Tracy Chapman's self-titled album at the 18th pick. And yeah, I mean, you can't beat this one. I mean, just solid folk album. I think her songwriting is top notch, and it really kind of put her on the chart there. So, of course, Fast Car became hugely popular here recently because of Luke Combs. Covered it and performed it live with her on stage. I thought that was excellent. With the 19th pick, I'm going to go ahead and take my first hip hop album, Doc. I got License to Ill.
Daggone it, that was on my list.
By the Beastie Boys. I figured I'd go ahead and get that one out of there.
That's a little different, buddy. That's a good one.
I mean, exactly. It's like this unique blend of, a little bit of rock and rap all mixed together. Rick Rubin produced it. It's just an incredible album. The sampling's great in it and very innovative. And the Beasties just took off from there. Just became like these innovators of hip hop and rock and everything else. So, all right, Sam, we're back to you with the 20th overall pick.
All right. Well, that one was on my list. That would have been either this round or next round for me. I'm gonna go with a big one. Born in the USA.
Yeah.
That was an early album for me. My dad gave me the CD, and I'll listen to that thing all the time. So my hometown, Darlington County, I love those songs.
Yeah, I think there must have been at least 6 or 7 songs that were top 40 hits off that album. Yeah,
it's huge.
I think So, Doc, you've got the 21st pick and 22nd pick back to back.
So we'll keep the rock train running for a second here anyway. So I'm going to go with Fair Warning from Van Halen.
Ooh. Wow. That's a little bit of a surprise. Album, more so than 1984, huh?
Yeah. I don't mind anything that came out. Even Sammy stuff and stuff like that's good, man, later on. Yeah. So Fair Warning is just a grunge Van Halen rock album, man. And it's
right.
Pretty damn good, obviously. So
what about the 22nd pick?
This one might be a little different for you, but I'm gonna go with the Water Boys. This Is the Sea.
This Is the Sea, Water Boys. Yeah. Wow.
I'm mellowing out after the Fair Warning album I just played.
Yeah.
Sam had his taste of the Water Boys recently.
I just saw the
yeah. I didn't realize they put that out as a reissue just in the last few months.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I was lucky to get it.
Yeah.
This one would be worth a listen to, Sam, too.
All right. I mean, I'm introduced, so.
Right. All right. 23rd overall pick in the 8th round. Sam.
All right. This is where it really starts becoming my taste, I think. Because I've got to go with one of my favorite Van Morrison albums, which is Beautiful Vision. A lot of people shrug off 80s Van, but this is always the one that I say, check this one out. I mean, the song Cleaning Windows is a great kind of funky tune, and the title track, Beautiful Vision. I mean, it's Dweller on the Threshold. That's a great tune. So yeah, I've got to put Van on there.
Yeah, I've recently listened to that album probably in the last couple of months. It's a good album. So
yeah.
The 24th overall pick belongs to me, and the 25th. With the 24th, I think I'm going to go with The Queen Is Dead by the Smiths.
Yep.
That'll certainly win me over a lot of people in the UK.
Yeah.
One of the quintessential alternative rock albums that people need to have in their collection. Really great stuff. I'm a big fan of Johnny Marr on guitar, so had to have it on there. And with the 25th pick, I think I'm going to go ahead and take Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits.
Great album, man.
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to remember whether it's Sean or Rich. I don't think Rich is a big fan of Dire Straits' album, but not the.
I like it.
Yeah. Not this one, but I think the earlier stuff he is, but not Brothers in Arms.
No, I've never listened to a Dire Straits album all the way through.
Nice.
I love Morton Offler. He was all over Dylan's records in the 80s.
That's right. Sam, you got the 26th overall pick.
All right. Again, another Sam pick, but I've really come to like this album in the last few years, and that is the debut self-titled by Marshall Crenshaw, who I think Randy will be happy to see this one in the list. But if you like, Buddy Holly kind of stuff with like an 80s kind of new wave twist, that's what you're getting into. It's really, really good, catchy pop songs.
Nice. Good pick. Excellent. Doc, you get back-to-back picks, 27th and 28th pick overall.
This is my last two, right?
Last two.
I better make these work. Man. I'm a product of the time, I guess. It's the 80s and then whatever it is, but I really like 90125 still, so I'm taking that from Yes.
Ooh. 90125?
Yeah.
Nice. That gets your Sammy fix right there, right?
What's that?
That gets your Sammy fix. Oh, no, this is Yeses, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
You're thinking of OU812.
OU812 is what I was thinking of. Wow. Too many letters.
Too many letters, numbers popping up here these days. But yeah, 90125.
90125. That's got Owner of a Lonely Heart on it, right?
Yeah.
That's the one.
Which might be, to be honest with you, it's commercial success, but it's probably my least favorite song on the album.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. What about number 28, Doc?
Man, this is tough. I'm flipping a coin here. But once again, I'm a product of the time. So I'm going to stick with it, man. I'm taking the Cults Electric.
Ooh. Nice. That's a good album.
Yeah, it's a smoking album, man.
Yeah, I recommend that and Love. If people want to get into the cult, listen to those two albums.
Listen to those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to do that.
And you haven't heard a great rockin' tune until you hear She Sells Sanctuary.
Sanctuary. What a tune.
It's like, that's incredible. All right. And Sam, your last pick, 29th overall.
Man, I've got a couple on here that I've already picked artists. And so I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I go with a big one? Do I go with one that's more my taste? I've got to go with my taste. So I'm going to go again with a lesser known album, but one that's got some great pop tunes, and that is the album called Rose of England by Nick Lowe. It was one of two albums by Nick Lowe in his cowboy outfit, which was essentially his band at that time. Paul Carrick is on it. Huey Lewis produced a couple of songs.
Really?
That's when he does I Knew the Bride When She Used to Rock and Roll, Elvis Costello tune. So Rose of England, I like that album so much.
That's awesome. And I guess I got the last pick overall, 30th. And since I kind of felt like you guys weren't going to touch anything by them, so I'm going to take REM's Murmur, their debut album. Obviously with Radio Free Europe and Perfect Circle. Everybody knows I'm a huge REM buff. Yep. And this debut actually in Rolling Stone's top 100 debut albums of all time. This was number 8. So that shows you how much, everybody thinks of the album in retrospect anyway. So how about giving me like some of your honorable mentions that didn't make the cut, which could be a surprise.
Want me to go, Sam?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Doc.
I had a few on here that were a little different. Up to Here from Tragically Hip, which I really like.
Yeah.
The Game from Queen was on my list. I know Roger Waters is politically, out there in a lot of ways, but his second debut album of his career, Radio Chaos, I'm a huge fan of that album, man.
I was kind of surprised you didn't take the final cut. The final cut.
Yeah, the final cut just missed my list, but it's like I had it number 11 on my list when I started. I didn't change it. So,
what about you, Sam?
I went a couple that I had were Nebraska by sorry, my video went out. Nebraska. I had Thriller. Just it was there. Then also had Avalon Sunset by Van Morrison as well. So everything else, I mean, Full Moon Fever, Southern Accents, License to Ill, were all taken. Joshua Tree, were all taken.
Yeah.
For me, I had a couple extra ones too. I did have Public Enemy's "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back." Really critically acclaimed hip hop record. I had 1999 by Prince as well. I thought was a solid album by him. Doolittle by the Pixies, and really favorite album of mine. You can't break it into the top 10 Against These Monsters is Business as Usual by Men at Work.
Men at Work.
You're
a big fan too.
I'm a huge fan, and it's like, but to fit it in there, it just didn't work. And the last one I wanted to mention was Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking. I think it's an incredible record that's highly underrated, that people should listen to. But
I was surprised no Aerosmith from Doc.
I'm a 70s Aerosmith guy, man.
Yeah, he's a 70s Aerosmith guy. I don't think he liked Permanent Vacation. Or
one really good tune on there that I like. Hangman's Jury. I like that song a lot. But
yeah.
Like I had Number of the Beast. I had, Last in Line. I had Slide It In. I had,
that's true.
I had The End of Innocence from Don Henley. I had all these other ones I was thinking of.
End of the Innocence. That's a good one.
It's a great album too, man.
It's an excellent album.
Was Belladonna? Was that 1980 or 81?
I think you're right.
80, I think.
Yeah.
Nobody took Mirage by Fleetwood Mac or Tango in the Night. I mean, those are left out there.
No Michael Jackson.
Yeah, nobody took any Michael.
No.
I mean, I recognize that Thriller's an important album and one of the great albums, but it's not in my top 10.
It's just a personal thing. That's all it is.
Bad had a ton of great tunes.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Sam, for doing this series with me. I really appreciate it. Remember to leave a like, sub, and comment down below. Leave your top 10. Tell us who you would have picked. Tell us which picks we had that were just totally dumb. That would be the nice way to put it. And we really appreciate you guys sticking with us on this series. Until next time, everybody take care. Bye-bye.
Peace out.